All right. You want the next one? Mr. Karimpour, you have 10 minutes.
Good morning, Your Honorable Defendant. It's interesting that what we start with is impartiality to the facts. If the judicial procedure used was flawed, the outcome is fault. That's the reason that this matter is brought under GLC 211 Section 3 to fix the procedure to fulfill Article 5 of the state constitution, which has been denied throughout the process in this case. Article 5 of the state constitution allows the means for the citizens to seek to hold the three branches of government selectively and collectively accountable to the Constitution and our wishes. The three branches of the state government cannot act like the three stooges at our expense and for failures and injustices that they impose to us, such as clearly stated in the Monan report. There is an abuse of authority by denying the means to seek justice and access to impartial jury where the defendant and their subordinates are sitting as judge and jury. The right to seek accountability to the people per Article 5 of the state has been denied through denying access to impartial procedure. Plaintiff petitioned the SJC under 08718 to set the procedure to fulfill this constitutional rights with no rights, and by denying the means to seek justice, which is an abuse of defendant's administrative authority, they have committed obstruction of justice. And in all of the cases from Superior Court all the way through appellate and further appellate review, the plaintiff has sought to be heard, which was denied. And in all cases, it's been basically rubber stamps to the procedures. Plaintiff has asked to be heard by impartial jury of people, not judges, given the relationship that exists throughout the system. The jury of the people is required for this, both for impartiality to the issues raised against the defendant and alleged claim that the defendant have regarding their absolute judicial immunity, which all jurors are protected by. People rights under Article 5 of the state constitution, which is who better to serve it than the jury of people, as it is stated clearly in the Article 5. And as a matter of law, jury decisions stand on higher ground than the judge's decisions, and it cannot be reversed by judges without clear justification of issues on hand. SJC justices should not have the ultimate say on a case against them based on the Article 5 of the Constitution, or as Commission on Judicial Conduct claimed to be the case. When a superior judge had an issue with the public-funded institution like the newspaper, he was able to be heard by a jury of people, and this does not seem to be the case other way around. The facts that are clear from your defendant's appellate argument in September 30, 2004 versus your judgment on their FAR 14891 reflect that lack of impartiality. Massachusetts case law specifically stated the decision of that the inherent power of the court is to serve justice and set procedure to that end. Serve of justice is beyond just punishment. It's also finding the truth. The defendant claim to absolute judicial immunity or punishment should not deny these proceedings. seeking justice and citizen rights. If the defendant cannot be held accountable to the claim, the truth is important to serving justice and public interest. Truths such fact-finding we can get through legislative process, enhancement to our judicial proceeding, so that the authority do not abuse the process and fulfilling their administrative and judicial duties. Plaintiff right to hearing were denied at all levels. And while the defendant's own appeal argument contradicts Superior Court judge finding, plaintiff claim is not clear. How can a court decide if the clarity is not made on the argument? And if there is opportunity to be heard, then that clarity would be achieved. The plaintiff constitutional rights to be heard is above the rights to be read. We have thousands of book clubs that basically read more eloquent writings than mine, but that's, again, the interpretation and justice require that hearing rather than to be read. Justice requirement, the most effective communication way, basically. Defendant argument is also that they may be held accountable if plaintiff seeking relief per Putin versus Allen under 466 U.S. 522 1984, and which also contradicts the statement that there is no immunity for damages per Civil Rights Act of Awarding Fees, Act of 1976. If you believe that you may be accountable as a defendant, how could you judge otherwise? Lack in impartiality of the proceeding is all over this, as it's stated. Then we have the Monin report that really speaks to the status of the judicial system. It's reflected actually through a pedestal that is tilted in such a way that dysfunctional. And that dysfunctionality is created through lack of accountability that is stated throughout the system. And where do we start accountability? At the top. It's basically reflect that for past 37 years, there has been 12 similar reports with no real resolution to the problem. And here we have Article 5th of the state constitution that is clearly stated from beginning how to imbalance this challenge. Basically, what has not been measured, which is, again, an example of lack of taking action, basically. This case is about not action that the SJC justices have taken, but lack of action that they have taken in fulfilling their duties under the law. And that is itself is obstruction of justice. When you fail to do a specific thing where law requires you to do it, then you are not fulfilling your oath, and in essence, you are not truthful to the oath. And that's the fundamental of Article 5th application in this case. And basically, Article 5 provides the mechanism to imbalance what I describe as the act of the three branches of a state government. Because we have been going through these scenarios where justices make one decision, it goes to legislature, it goes to a stagnant situation, as we have very recently on the marriage case. And you have 170,000 people sign a petition, goes and legislature do nothing. So they are not fulfilling their duties, you're not fulfilling your duties, and that's where I say the three branches of government are going to be held accountable under Article 5th. Article 5th is really the suspension system of our state government, and that's what Chief Justice Marshall had stated in her 2000 speech, that is cornerstone of our system. By denying it, you're denying the constitutional rights of the citizen to take ownership of the proceedings and how the government should be handled. And as last week's Lawyers' Weekly reports indicate, we have seen less and less jury trial, which means people are separated from the system, and the system has become self-serving through its constituencies in legal system rather than serving the public, which was the initial intention of the system. And that's all I have to say. So I'm glad that I finished in time.
Thank you. No argument? Thank you. We don't have any questions, I don't
I'm
think.
prepared to rest on the papers.
Thank you.